Hello. I was just writing my weekly blog post for my website, for my blog, and it was about the manifesting method that is called the pillow method. And I wanted to come on and talk about it because it's actually a really good method that I'd forgotten about. How this all began. I was talking to somebody yesterday about the Grabavoy numbers, the whatever, however you call them, whatever they're called, numbers, and that I'd sort of given a bit of background to my story about, numbers sequencing being better for your brains than affirmations because, you can believe numbers, they don't actually hold any meaning to you rather than spoken words hold meaning. And then we'd got into affirmations and we started to talk about all of that, and it reminded me of the pillow method of manifestation, which was probably the first manifesting tip or technique that I heard about back in the day when I was literally, this stuff wasn't even on my radar. I mean, you're talking 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, like many moons ago. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it was a long time ago, shall we just say. And I used to, in those days, and I still don't know where I got it from. I don't know where I picked it up from, but I remember writing on little bits of paper and putting them under my pillow and writing things like, I have a boyfriend, or I am loved, or my partner loves me, or I am really thin now. Things, all those things that I wanted back then. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I remember writing them down on little notes, putting them under my pillow and going to sleep, and then wondering the next day why I didn't miraculously have this boyfriend and why I hadn't, miraculously overnight lost, 5 stone, and I wasn't the person that I was writing on these little bits of paper. And little did I know back then, because I didn't really understand manifesting, I didn't really understand what I was trying to achieve, that wasn't going to work, because the pillow method, which is kind of that in a nutshell, only works if you believe it. It's like affirmations. It's like, they talk about you having to meet the energy, you having to meet the vibration of the thing, and that is what I wasn't doing. That is the part I wasn't doing, and so that's why it didn't work for me back in the day. And anyway, I started writing this blog post on this method of manifestation because I actually really love it, and it's one of the easiest things that you can use to manifest if you know what you're doing and you do it properly, with instruction, with the Supercharge methods that I'm going to talk about right now. And you don't just write down a bit of a sentence on a bit of paper, shove it up in your pillow and hope for the best, which is what I was doing. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it in more depth. We're going to go through it, and I'm going to give you my 2 methods for supercharging it and actually making it work really quickly and really amazingly, brilliantly, actually, once you know what you're doing. So the pillow method, as I said, is basically just that. It is basically just writing down your affirmation or your wish or your dream, popping it under your pillow and letting your subconscious mind do the rest. Because, right, when you're asleep, you can't think thoughts. You have dreams, and so your head does things and your mind does things, but you are not actively thinking those thoughts. You're not being taken away in the kind of, what am I going to make for tea? Oh my God, I've got to go and pick the girls up from school. What am I going to wear tomorrow? That was said today, and what did that mean? And then you've got all those things spiraling around your head, And you're not in that space when you're asleep. So it is the perfect time to get into your subconscious and to get into what you really want and to be shown the way. As I've said before, and I keep harping on about this, and I know you're probably getting bored now, but 5% of what you do is conscious, 95% of what you do is subconscious, and it's in the subconscious mind where the changes need to be made. And so when you're asleep, it's the perfect time to get into the subconscious. So the pillow method is amazing because it takes out the thinking thought, the thinking brain, the kind of the everyday whirling of things going on in your life that you need to think about. So it is, say, let's go through an example. And the example that I gave in the blog post was wanting to move into your dream home. And so let's use that. Let's use that as the example within this today. Okay, so if, in its most simplistic form, you write down your affirmation, you pop it under your pillow, you leave the rest of the universe. So what do I mean by that? Your affirmation, if we take in the new home, the dream house scenario, you would write an affirmation for yourself around that dream, that goal, that thing that you want. And it could be something like, I am so happy and grateful now that I live in my dream home. That's an affirmation. It's talking about it like you've already got it, like you're already there. And in the most simplistic method of this pillow method, you would just write that on a piece of paper, you would put that under your pillow, and then you would just let the universe get into your subconscious and give you the steps to get there. But I told you we're going to supercharge it. And so here is how you supercharge that and make it even better. I've talked about scripting before, and for those of you that don't know what scripting is, I talk about it on my YouTube channel, I talk about it on my blog, I talk about it on my podcast, I think. Maybe I haven't done an episode on scripting, maybe I should, and maybe that'll be next week's. Anyway, aside, scripting is where you take your life, your dream life, the thing that you really want, and you write about it in lots of great detail, having already had it. So it's like an affirmation in that you're stating you already have this thing. You're not talking about, I will be so happy and grateful when I have the size 8 body, or I will be so happy and grateful when I have the black Santa Fe on the driveway, or I will be so happy and grateful when I buy my dream car. That is not how we do it. With affirmations and with scripting, we always already have that thing. So I am so happy and grateful now that I have. I am so happy to now be living in, so it's present tense. We've got it. We've already got it. This thing has happened. So with scripting, we go into much, much more detail. So it's not just a one-line sentence. It can be pages and pages and pages of what you've got, what your life looks like, how amazing it is, how it feels, all of the emotions. We try and use our 5 senses in scripting. We try and use, our sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, everything, and really put as much energy and feeling and emotion behind what we're writing as we possibly can. And so to supercharge the affirmation for Pillow Talk, we don't need to go into that much detail. What we're going to do is we're going to take our general standard affirmation, which in this example was, I'm so happy and grateful now that I live in my dream home. And we're just going to write 2 or 3 sentences around that. And the example I gave in my blog post, and I'm actually going to read it to you because it's basically, right, here it is. I'm so happy now that I'm living in my dream home. It feels so warm and inviting here. I love that I have the 4 bedrooms that I've already wanted and the study space that's just for me. My kitchen has the most amazing barista machine that makes my morning coffee so delicious. And best of all, it's saving me money because I'm now having my coffee at home rather than going out. My garden feels like my sanctuary. I love listening to the bird song and the breeze in the trees. I have always wanted this home. It makes me feel warm. It fills me with love. I feel so safe and secure here. I am so content and filled with gratitude. So, can you feel in that really short 2 or 3 sentences the difference in the feeling and the energy and the emotion than just saying, I'm so happy I'm now living in my dream home? It's got a totally different feeling about it. You're putting emotion behind it. You're putting feeling behind the words. You are visualizing. I mean, as I read that and as I wrote it in the blog post, I could visualize where I was. I could see the kitchen. I could see the garden. I could hear the bird song and I could smell the coffee, which brings me to the next supercharge, right? So you wrote out 2 or 3 sentences around your affirmation, things that you want. Now you're going to bring in the senses. And the easiest way to do that while you're asleep is through smell. And the way we do that is we can use essential oils, we could use perfume, we could basically use anything. But what I would like you to do to really ramp up the energy and the emotion behind the sentences that you've wrote down is, if I was in that dream house, again going back to my example, if I was in that dream house, I love the smell of vanilla. And so I would have, and I do have actually in my house, I have plug-ins. You know, those plug-in air fresheners that sort of put the aroma and the smells into your room that you love. I have vanilla in pretty much every living space because I adore it. And if I lived in that dream house with that beautiful kitchen and that gorgeous study that's my space with that sanctuary of a garden, it would be filled with the wafting aromas of vanilla because it makes me feel warm, it makes me feel happy, it makes me feel like I'm living in the space that I really want to live. And so get yourself some vanilla smells, essential oils, perfume, whatever it is, and anoint it all over the piece of paper that you've written your affirmation, your sentences, your dream thing on, so that when you fall asleep, you've not only got it under your pillow, but you can smell the smells, you can smell the vanilla, and so it's taking you to that place with your senses. You know, if it was, let's go to the garden, you know, if you wanted your sanctuary, your garden, and it was filled with magnolia or roses, you could put rose oil, or you could have, you know, hibiscus oil, something, cedar oil, things that would give you the smell of the trees or the flowers, or, you know, whatever it is that you love. Or let's take the coffee. The barista machine, you could put the smell of coffee on your piece of paper, or you could put cinnamon on if you'd want your house to be filled with home baking smells. It's just something that bombards your senses and actually brings in the energy and the feeling a little bit more. And so not only you've not only expanded your affirmation to be a kind of a 2 or 3 sentence mini script, you've then brought in the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions, the senses with the smells. And you literally put it under your pillow, go to sleep, and let your subconscious mind do the rest. And that is as simple as the pillow method gets to be. But there is a premise to this, and this is where I was going wrong back in the day. I was obviously writing down the affirmation. I wasn't doing the scripting or the smells, but I was doing, you know, the most basic method. And I was writing down what I wanted. I was putting under my pillow, and I was just, you know, going to sleep and imagining that it was all going to happen. But the problem was I didn't believe it. So I would write, I am so loved by my perfect partner. But in the rest of my world, my mind was going, you're fat, you're ugly, nobody loves you, you're never going to get a partner. I didn't believe any of it. And so the biggest tip I want to give you with this, to prove to yourself that you can do it and to prove to yourself that it is a method that works, is start with something you can have absolute, complete and utter belief that you can have. You know, start with, I'm going to manifest a free coffee tomorrow. You know, at sometime in the next week, I will be given a free coffee. You know, your mind can get behind that, right? Because it's not massive, it's not a big dream, it's something easy, and it's something that you can actually believe will happen. So start there. I'm going to manifest a refund of $10, or I'm going to manifest that dress I want being on sale and costing me $15 less than it would if I bought it last week. You know, something that's really small and really easy that your mind can get on board with. And once you've seen that work, go bigger and go bigger and go bigger until eventually you're calling in the dream home, the dream location, the dream job, the success, the abundance, the whatever it is, the soulmate, whatever it is that you want. Once you've got that total belief that you can have it, like anything in manifestation, this method works. So do it with just the simple affirmation if that's all you want to do, but supercharge it with the scripting sentences and the smells, and just watch the magic unfold. Now, one thing I do want to say again before we finish is, if you can do this, the best way of doing this is do it for 8 straight nights. And the reason we do it for 8 straight nights is because you're stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking 8 times with the same thing. Not only that, every night when you put it back under your pillow and you put the smell back on again, you read it to yourself, so you're reinforcing it in your mind again. You read your sentences, you're back there in that place, you're feeling the emotion, you're feeling the thoughts, and that raises the vibration and raises your energy until you get into that place where you match the vibration of what it is that you want. And you do that for 8 days straight, which takes you there 8 times, which is amazing in itself. And then you let it go. And we've all heard that the biggest part of manifesting anything is that you ask for it, you truly believe that you can have it, then you turn it over to the universe and let it go. And one of the best ways of doing that, you could just take your piece of paper and pop it in your manifesting box, or pop it in your manifesting journal and just leave it there, you know, and forget about it. But you could also hold a release ceremony to release it out into the world, and I have a YouTube blog on that as well. Or one of the ways I love to do it, and it's really easy, is get yourself a lighter or some matches, take it outside, take your piece of paper outside, pop it on the concrete somewhere that's not going to burn. Don't do it on your deck, or you could set your deck alight. Let's not do that. Put it on the concrete, set it alight, watch it burn, and then watch the wind take the ashes and just blow them away. And that is you releasing that over to the universe. So not only have you done the pillow method for 8 times, you've ramped up your energy, you've met the vibration of what it is that you want, you've then let the ashes go on the wind, and that takes it out into the universe and releases it and lets go of your control of having that thing and just gives it to the universe to then do its part. It's the most amazing method. It's really easy. It's actually really enjoyable, and it should take you no more than like 5 minutes every night for 8 nights, and that is it. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely manifesting method, and try it. Supercharge it the way I've spoke about here, and let me know how you get on with it, because as always, I love to hear your manifesting success stories, and I really hope that you will use this one, because it's definitely one of my favorites.